Greetings, Wargamers. We're your hosts, Trevor,
Jay,
Josh, and this is Chain Attack.
Chain Attack is sponsored by Discount Games Incorporated. Discount Games Incorporated specializes in customer service, low prices, and prompt shipping. You can find our web store at www.discountgamesinc.com.
Welcome to Chain Attack. I'm your host Trevor, and I'm currently in season 5 of F1 Manager, and I've won 1-2 every single race.
All you
so
do
far.
is you're a machine, and all you do is win races.
That's right.
I'm Jay, and I think that either Josh and I have to do a wellness check on Trevor sometime today, because I'm pretty sure that he's been kidnapped, and he sent us his, I've been kidnapped message. Please check on me. And
was the I've been
yet.
kidnapped message apparently I'm a morning person now?
It was the we're not going to record at 9:30 at night. Let's do it at 6 a.m. in the morning.
I woke up at 5:30 this morning, and I will mention that this is my day off. I woke up at 5:30 this morning and stared at the clock for 20 minutes before I finally said, "Oh, dang it, I'll just get up."
I mean, I fell asleep at about 1:30 or 2 and was like, sure, I'm glad I'm waking up in a few hours.
I'm Josh, and I apparently need someone to come revoke my Kickstarter account again because the junkie behavior has returned. Oh man, I'm just looking at the email about my pledge for Mosaic Wars and Disasters, which I backed at the full. I'm dangerous now. I've backed it at the full, whatever the highest prize level is. That's all I do now. I'm like, if I see it, I go to the highest prize level, I click on it. I have that coming. I have Oathsworn Into the Deep Woods coming. I have the now I can't remember what it's called, but did you see the one, Trevor, that's like you make molds of monsters and it's a miniature game?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
So how come you haven't backed Queen's Dilemma? Is that just because I backed it and you're like, well, the only place I'll play it is with him?
That is the only thing that has held me off so far, is because you on the Discord were like, I backed it so you don't have to, and I'm like, yeah, that's right. Hold tight to that.
I've been pretty bad about the Kickstarter as well lately. I've done similar thing. Basically, I've avoided all the ones you've backed because I'm like, the only place I'll end up playing that is with Josh. So.
Oh, the other one I didn't mention, which I didn't technically back it on Kickstarter. I noticed it too late or whatever, right? And so I went to one of those kind of aftermarket places and again bought I'm like, what's the one that has all the bits and pieces and goodies? Give me that, right? And it arrived this week, and I've been drooling over it at home. It's called John Company. It's the next game by Whirligig Games, who did PAX Premier. And I mean,
I can't believe you use PAX Premier as their this is the hold. I'm holding this up as the example of what they've done.
Well, because what else have they done? Oh, you're talking about like Oath, and you're right. I should think of that. But what else has Whirligig done specifically? I'll have to look at that.
Well, that's fair because
you're right. The designer has done Root and Oath, which are incredible games. But I think the publisher hasn't done as much stuff that I can think of. Yeah, as a matter of fact, this is only the second game published by Whirligig specifically. Anyway, let me just say this about John Company. It has every round has a phase where you vote to pass a law. I'm like, please tell me more.
And why are we not playing that right now instead of recording this stupid podcast?
I mean, I did finish reading the rule book late last night, so I can. Anyway, it's freaking gorgeous. It's gorgeous the same way Pax Pamir is gorgeous. I think it's probably a little more involved than Pax Pamir in some ways.
So does it have like clay pieces like Pax Pamir?
It does not have clay pieces. It does not have. It just has like
I will say that
of India and like
like Pax Pamir is gorgeous in a tactile sense that no other game. Like I just don't understand.
I know
why
nobody
more
else
games
has even like achieved.
Yeah, they don't really do those sorts of things. Like it has this cloth board that you roll out, and it looks almost like like it's hand cross stitch. I know it's not. It's printed on there, but I mean that's the feel you get is that you're unrolling this hand cross stitch board and these clay pieces that like just feel far more. I don't know why people don't use that material more often than wood. I like it. It's far better than wood.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I can only imagine that there's an expense to it that.
I'm sure it is
a better choice, right? So, like, anyway, John Company looks amazing. The premise is that you play families who are part of the East India Company, right? So, I mean, it's all the horrible exploitative colonialism of the early British Empire or whatever, and it's like, you're getting your family members into different seats in the East India Company, and trying to basically get as much loot and success for your family as possible. But like it has that element where like the company itself can fail, and if it does, that's the end of the game, and like there are penalties to everybody for it.
So it's a co-op competitive.
It's mostly competitive. It just has that element of like you could make decisions that sink the company, and then everybody's going to pay the price for it, kind of thing. But it's just interesting because it's like you're going to be making decisions where like multiple players have family members involved because like they're one player has a commander of an army, but two other players have family members in the army, stuff like that. It reminds you of what?
I mean, what you're talking, what I'm hearing is like Founding Fathers.
It felt a lot like that, although I think it's not nearly as involved as Founding Fathers. Like I think this is going to have a 2 to 3 hour play time kind of thing.
You're singing my song.
I know. I'm reading through the rules, going, oh man. So yeah, I'm excited. That's one that I'm glad the Kickstarter bug bit me again.
Yeah.
So I am officially the father of an anxious cat.
What?
And
tell me more.
The downside on this is that she the way it's manifesting right now is that she's not peeing in her litter box. She's peeing on blankets. Not on her bed, thankfully. But yeah, so we took her to the vet, and she's like, yeah, there's nothing physically wrong with her. And so now we have like, we're like pumping our house full of calming pheromones and putting powder on her food that's supposed to calm her down, and et cetera, et cetera.
Is this the rescue that was always a little skittish?
Yes.
Oh.
Is she's just never really relaxed?
It's gotten worse. She did.
Oh, jeez.
Well, okay, so worse isn't she's peeing now when she wasn't before.
Right, but the anxiety hasn't necessarily.
I mean, she does, like, she's a little bit skittish if like Brian and I are walking around, but she'll still, like, she likes spending time with us, getting petted, etc. The main thing is that one of our cats she's warmed up to her now, and she'll like groom her and they'll snuggle, etc. The other cat is like, this interloper in my house I'm not okay with.
The setting is at full despise.
Yeah, and so she will chase her around the house.
Oh, shoot.
And
do you think that's the biggest source of?
It's either that, and like when she gets cornered, the other cat will scream as though like she's in the process of being murdered. So yeah, that's the other potential part is, Brian and I's travel schedule has increased a little bit lately. And so it is possible that that it's some of it's related to that as well.
Yeah.
So
do you try to separate them? I mean, you guys have a kind of a a maze of a house in a way that you could give them plenty of room.
Yeah, I mean the issue is part of the issue is that like like all the cats want to be with us
Right.
first off, and then also the new cat that's a scaredy cat. She also like there's sometimes where I'm like, why aren't you avoiding this other cat more? But I mean some of it is that before we only had one location for the cat boxes and one location for the food. And so
Mhm.
now we have multiples of those. But also there's sometimes where it seems like she still wants to be friends with the other cat, and so she's like, "Hey, let's be friends," or whatever. And the other cat's like, "What if no?" Oh, yeah. Let's see. News from Discount Games Inc. We will have the battle forces that are new for the Christmas releases. We'll have those. I'm not sure yet what caps, if any, we're gonna have. So stay tuned for that. So Monday. Monday is supposed to be the date that
Your new tables arrive.
that the new tables ship.
Oh,
Mhm.
ship. I see. Is this a moving goalpost or?
Well, so
All shipping
When
is
I-
moving goalpost now.
right, yeah. When I initially ordered them, before I ordered, I called the website and was like, this is what your website says. The window time frame is this accurate? And they're like, yes, it's accurate. And so I placed the order, and they're like, we're just a drop ship company, and now they've changed their mind, and it's it's not. It's whatever. It's supposed to be 10 weeks, and so now and so I did a follow up earlier, and was like, "Hey, is this on track?" And they're like, "Yeah, unless we haven't heard any update that it's not on track." And so my expectation is that Monday is going to come and go. I'll contact them, and they'll be like, yeah, I'll get back to you." And then they'll be like, "Okay, yeah, the new date is like 6 weeks from now."
Jeez. That's the new shipping date.
That is my expectation,
Oh, I got you.
and we'll see. This maybe I'm just going to be pleasantly surprised, and it's going to ship. But I do not believe this will.
That
be
is
the case.
always the potential outcome of a realist such as yourself.
So how many stinking Magic players are you gonna be able to fit in there once you get all these tables?
Without any type of crowding, 54.
Holy smokes! Yeah,
I mean, there's
just
going to be
remind me
there's gonna
anytime
be-
there's a Magic event, I just won't be around.
Sure. I mean, there's going to be 9 tables, and so 6 per table would be 54. And ironically, my assistant manager and my manager, they came up with like a proposal on like the table layout, and it was like, we're going to have tables for days, everyone's going to be crammed in there, butts to nuts, and I'm just like, first off, I'm not sure there's going to be very many events where we would get more than 54, and even if we could,
Yeah,
Why
he's trying to be hopeful though. Like you'll get a big
sure,
event or something.
yeah, I understand, but Gameopolis is not big enough that you should have more than 54 players in there anyway.
Yeah, what's the? I mean, what does the
Yeah,
fire marshal have to say about that?
They have not given an opinion.
Amazing. What does the fire marshal have to say about it? Oh,
But yeah,
shit.
but it would have been like, crappy walkways and et cetera. And so
Right. I'm over here just still trying to process the phrase butts to nuts because that's funny.
Have you never heard that before?
I don't think I have.
Oh, okay.
Josh leads a
Sheltered life.
A non-butts to nuts life.
cleaner life than us.
Also, I generally try to avoid situations where it would be butts to nuts too.
I thought you were a political guy. Isn't that what all of them are? They
Uh,
pack you in as tight as they can and try to get money out of you.
I guess that is true at times, but usually you can at least keep people a handshake away.
All right. Well, we're going to potentially do one, maybe two. We'll see pitches today. So the first one we're going to start off with is the show For All Mankind.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Slash, I don't know if my heart can take this.
I feel like the biggest issue with recommending this to someone is that most people just aren't going to have the service that this is on.
That is true.
So I think the question of the day is going to be, why should I watch this while I've got my Apple Plus subscription for Ted Lasso?
For Ted Lasso season 3, right? Is that where you're going to have it again?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily speaking for me. I was speaking for everyone listening, because everyone listening is probably in the same boat.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, my quick answer is because it's the perfect palate cleanser for the laughter and joy that Ted Lasso will give you. Because For All Mankind will give you drama and hate.
So let me ask you a couple of questions before we even get started.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Question one: are there any characters to like? Because if there are no characters to like,
right.
then I'm out straight away.
And ironically, it won't just kill the characters that you like out of the gate.
What do you mean out of the gate?
I'm just saying, like, that's what I feel like Game of Thrones does. Is it's like, hey, look at this character. He's a potential good guy. Just kidding, he's dead.
Okay. I'm skeptical because you're telling me not out of the gate, which means that it's going to be like they're going to really like I'm going to love a certain character in season 4. They're going to be like, "Gear smash!"
Actually, I am surprised, and I want to get Jay's feeling on this because especially after season 3, Jay, I have some concerns about the level of plot armor on a couple of the main characters. One in particular who. See, I want Trevor to watch it because I want to know his feelings on some of these characters so badly.
Oh, I'll watch it, but it won't happen until
Ted Lasso season 3. I get it. So
I have no desire.
Let
to
me
sign
say
up
this,
for
Trevor.
Apple TV or to encourage them.
My top 3 favorite characters have survived 3 seasons now.
Okay.
And I will be excited to compare notes with Jay on those favorite characters. My most hated characters. I don't know if one of them has died yet. Let's just put it that way. But I really want her to.
Okay, so we
start with what the show is.
Let's begin at the beginning for once.
Go, Jay.
I guess it's too late for that. But elevator pitch. What is For All Mankind, Josh?
Alternate history where the Soviets beat the United States to the moon. They were the first country to land on the moon, and what comes from the fallout for that. It mostly is following NASA, alternate history NASA, and characters from NASA. It's part of what I think is so delightful about it, especially in the first season, is it rolls in like actual historical footage, and it makes nods to historical event. Like my favorite one in the first episode is like, because the Soviets beat the U.S. to the moon, Ted Kennedy doesn't go to a party at Chappaquiddick, which means that the intern that basically he killed in a car wreck doesn't get killed, and his political career doesn't get lit on fire in the same way it did in actual history. And like, so it does stuff like that, and so it has like footage of Nixon, and in later seasons footage of Reagan, and it's just clever to me. I think Jay described it best once when we talked about it as it sort of takes the Forrest Gump approach.
Okay.
Anyway,
it's not necessarily like a single person, obviously, who's threading through everything. But yeah,
I have a question.
It has a huge cast, right? Go ahead, Trevor.
So is does the first episode open up with the Russians
Yeah.
landing on the moon?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the start.
That's the start. Correct.
Yes.
Right.
My initial I guess impression was that like that was the first season or something. That
No.
it's to the moon. No, it's the Russians have landed on the moon.
Moon,
Go.
what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does. One of the things that I enjoy with it is that it just does kind of slight twists on what happened in our world to different things that could have happened. And this is probably not going to surprise Josh, but one of my favorite twists that they did on this is in season 3 they have a twist on Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and like him being impeached and all the stuff that comes out of this. And
I literally did not even think about the fact that that's what that is.
Oh,
my
you didn't?
gosh. No, that is
What?
hilarious. Yeah, you're right. That is an amazing twist. Also, probably one of my top 3 favorite characters.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. So it is interesting that, you know, a character that that you like quite a bit is, you know, kind of what's been or is involved, I guess. But anyway, I am curious, Josh. The one of the comparisons I made to you was with the Lady Astronauts.
Yeah, right.
Which is also kind of an alternate history book.
Yeah, I mean, Lady Astronauts is alternate history, but starting even earlier,
Yes.
right? Like it's still back in punch card technology times, and yeah, okay. Well, so I think it's a fair
Is that
comparison,
apt?
Jay. It is apt, and one of my most hated characters is the most hated character because she essentially betrayed the Lady Astronaut formula.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say that's all I'm gonna say for now. We can have a spoiler discussion later where I tell you how much I hate her. But yes,
I mean one of the things that I like with it is that it does have it like there's parts of it where it has the feel of like another, I guess, example might be the movie Hidden Figures.
yeah,
Where it has
great
it has
comparison.
themes about like either women or people of color that are trying to make a place for themselves in this culture that is predominantly doesn't include them. So.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of that. It is part of the fun, but like I can't remember. I was pitching this to my daughters, and I was like, you guys know how you love Downton Abbey because of all the different characters. I'm like, I probably overused Downton Abbey because one time I tried to pitch The Walking Dead as Downton Abbey, but there's zombies.
But there's some, okay.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, For All Mankind feels like Downton Abbey, but it's in space, you know. It involves NASA instead of colonial
Okay,
man.
so I think there's probably a significant portion of our listeners who have not seen Downton Abbey. I've never seen Downton Abbey, so sell it to me. What does it do well?
It has great character stories, you know, drama development between. I mean, there's a couple of the twists. Like again, the reason that one of my characters is one of the characters is my most hated character is she makes a relationship choice that I'm just like, I will find you and I will burn you. You are so terrible right now. And and so it has that kind of drama, you know.
You do get invested enough in the characters that you actually care about the choices that they're making.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it, right? And it's cool because across 3 seasons, it does time jumps. And I don't mean like back and forth. I mean, it's like, it's like, I think it's about a 10-year jump between each season, isn't it, Jay? Which you would kind of need for a space story, you know, that's about
it's going over decades.
Yeah, technology advancing. And so it's kind of cool to see some of these characters, and then, you know, you're seeing their kids growing up in the next season, and then, you know, so on and so forth. And so it does all that just really well. I mean, I think the way you described it, Jay, it really just it's easy to become invested in some of these characters, and even some of the like minor characters. I mean, my probably second most hated character is one of the minor characters. I think I hate her so much though.
Does it have too many characters? Because one of the things that Game of Thrones did sometimes was have so many characters that I basically had to go to the wiki to figure out how long ago had I seen this character? Who are they? You know, there was times
I think
where
that's
I'm
a
like,
fair question, Jay. I want to hear Jay's answer to that first.
No, I don't think so.
I think that it maintains enough of the familiar characters that the additional supporting characters, you don't feel overwhelmed by them.
okay, because that is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. If I have to go to a wiki to understand your TV show, you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Another thing that I will say in the favor of this show is that Apple just has a ton of money.
Oh my gosh, that is so true.
And there's some Apple show. I can't even remember the name of this show, but I told you about this TV show that was about an alien invasion on Apple, and the production quality was amazing, but the story sucked. But in this show, the story is amazing and the production quality is amazing, and it's obvious that this show has a rather large budget.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's in this case, it is well spent, in my opinion.
Invasion, I think, is the name of that show.
Yeah, Invasion.
Actually, Jay, that you were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting because like For All Mankind held my interest better than Foundation did. Like I haven't finished Foundation. Yeah. And isn't there only one season of Foundation?
Did either of you watch Finch on Apple TV?
Finch? No.
Yeah.
Let me probably not.
It's a Tom Hanks movie. Has a
I was
robot.
interested in it, but Brian, it was one I was gonna have to watch on my own because Brian is in a anti-Tom Hanks phase.
Is it? Oh, it's post-apocalyptic. Geez, how did I not watch this, Trevor?
I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
Actually, I'll tell you how I didn't watch it. It's because it's a movie.
Okay.
Like
sorry.
I can convince myself to watch 10 hours of a show in 1 hour bits, but an hour and a half for a movie, it's a bridge too far. Although Finch looks like it's longer than that. Finch is like 2.5 hours. Oh no, 2 hours. Yeah, that's awful long for me.
So I only watched 3 things on Apple. I watched Ted Lasso, I watched Finch, and I watched Greyhound. So Tom Hanks and Ted Lasso. Is all. How can anyone not like Tom Hanks? I'm blown away.
I mean,
sometimes he says things, I'm guessing.
It's mostly that he's ready for someone new.
Oh.
He's wore out. I got it. Kyle, I might have to. Was the movie good? Was Finch good?
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah.
Was Greyhound good also, by the way?
So
I feel like I could get my wife to watch Greyhound because isn't it like historical?
I liked it a lot.
So I did not care for it quite as much as maybe Jay did. Yeah, but it's good. It's just for whatever reason it just didn't quite resonate as much with me, which it probably should have. I mean, it's Tom Hanks. It's a war film. I mean,
yeah, you seem like the target audience on that bad boy.
It was all right.
It what?
It was all right. It's not like.
It wasn't revolutionary. It was.
Yeah, it's no Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
It's a different war movie with a different Tom Hanks in it.
Duly noted.
But yeah, I mean it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. There were parts to it that were somewhat slow, I felt like.
Man, when I open up the list of Apple TV shows, it stuns me.
Why?
Because what human being will ever have time to watch all of this stuff?
I mean, that's part of why, it's so, I don't know. Yeah, there's so much stuff now that you can watch.
Yeah, well said. There is so much stuff.
And it's also, I mean, you guys probably aren't even aware of this, but so Disney did their earnings call just this week for the
as one does.
Quarter.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually was the end of their fiscal year as well. And they did like significantly worse than what the market was predicting, and so their stock is like at a like all-time low for like a really long time. And part of the reason why it is they perform so poorly or whatever, but like just in the last quarter, Disney lost $1.5 billion
Holy
on
cow.
Disney Plus. So
I mean, is that just because they're investing so much in it and not getting as many subscribers as they were hoping? I guess I don't understand
well,
why
I
they're
mean,
losing so much money.
yeah, so part of it is that for a long time, like when Netflix's stock was so crazy high, the main thing that that Wall Street wanted to see was like an increase in subscribers, and there was like this concept that, like, for example, Netflix is just going to keep growing so many subscribers that eventually
Forever.
it's going to mature into this, you know, amazingly profitable machine. And Netflix actually is one of the few streamers that's profitable right now. And so, for example, Disney, they set their price super low initially, and they've spent a lot of money on making content. And so, in the kind of following what Wall Street wants, of like, we're just going to be acquiring customers, and then once we have the hook set, we'll start slowly raising the price, etc. And then Netflix 2 or 3 quarters ago, for the first time ever, didn't have subscription growth, and so their stock price took a big hit because Wall Street was like, oh wow, you mean they might not have just infinite growth forever, and you know, maybe we need to be worried about what their profitability actually is. And so yeah, I mean, that's kind of the
Is this the point where I insert the meme where they talk about cable TV and everyone's pirating movies, and then Netflix comes along and everyone stops pirating movies because they can get it from one streaming service, and then all of a sudden there's bajillion streaming services and everyone goes back to pirating again? Because that is the part.
There are
that is
too
the
many
part of the
streaming
story we're in.
services. Yeah, there
Yeah,
are
and
too
people
many,
have stopped. All of a sudden, I mean, I haven't looked at torrents in years because I have no need. But all of a sudden, people are like, you know what? Screw this. I'm not gonna watch For All Mankind by subscribing to Apple TV. I'll just pirate it because I don't want. All I want to see is that one show. I don't care about the rest of the
Right.
crap.
Right.
You know, and we are back to the point where we were when Netflix is like, we're going to take over because we can provide you what you want. And you don't have to go through the hassle of dealing with computer viruses and figuring out how to make torrents work and setting up your media server. You know, we're going back to that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I kind of answered your question, but to explicitly do so, a lot of the reason why they lost so much money is because they have been ramping up content for their streaming service while having a fairly low price, and their theory is that by 2024 there will be a convergence of enough added subscribers plus raised price that it's going to be a profitable service.
So this was expected, basically. They expected to
they
lose money.
they knew
they're
they've
okay
known that they've been. I mean, last quarter they lost like 1.3 billion, and so it's not like Disney Plus has been profitable ever. It's been losing money hand over fist for a long time, but it's seen as the future of the company, and so it is basically an acceptable business expense.
So how worried should we be, Jay, based on this shareholder news, that we don't get a She-Hulk season 2?
I don't know the answer to that.
Jay,
I'm
I come to this
assuming
podcast for speculation, not answers. Come on.
I mean, I haven't actually seen any news on She-Hulk. It did have a lot of people who hated it, but it
I
seems
know.
like
Yeah, all of my friends, like outside of this small sphere, all of my other friends hate it, and I don't get it. I don't understand. I had the same conversation that we talked about on this show. The I can't stand it when she breaks the fourth wall, and then I say, did you not like it when Deadpool did it? Oh well, yeah, that was okay. I'm like, okay, so why did it bother you when she did it? And then all of a sudden, you could see the light kind of go on, like, oh, I guess I don't know why. It's odd to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So Josh, what would, I guess, if you, okay, I'll save that question. I'll go with this question instead. What would you say were the things that you enjoyed the most about For All Mankind?
Oh, well, so let me start, I guess, macro, which is that season 2 is my favorite of the 3 seasons.
My least favorite of the
Really?
Yes.
Really? Wait, what is your favorite then?
The first or third. I'm not sure between those
Oh
two.
man, the third is my least, but whatever. I feel like they try to do too much in the third. Yeah, I mean, I just love. Here's the thing: like, they do an incredible job with like the score, and then the writing is really well done, right? Like, some of the plot points are a ton of fun. Like, I don't know if she's my favorite character, but like, I'll just say Margot. Like, she's got to be my first or second most favorite character.
Oh wow, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And possibly even more so after the end of season 3. Like, I freaking
Oh
love
wow,
that
wow, wow.
Yeah, and then I just feel like it does such a great job of having these like human moments set against the backdrop of, I mean, what for me is sort of like memories of my childhood in a way, right? Like the space race. I
Right.
mean, watching For All Mankind to me feels like I'm living in a game of Twilight Struggle, right? Like, it has just that ambiance. It has that Cold War feeling. I mean, this will maybe matter the most to Trevor, but like, it feels a little bit like the prequel to Red Dawn, like, and right? Wasn't the original Red Dawn? It was the Soviets, right?
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
back when you loved to have the Soviets as the bad guys, right? Like,
So I'm interested. Do you feel like does it do a good enough job that somebody much younger than us would enjoy it as well? I mean, we grew up as children of the Cold War in the 80s, watching the Challenger explode on TV.
I was actually just about to mention the Challenger, and like I think they would still enjoy the show, but like it comes to the point in the timeline where the Challenger would happen, and they start talking about the Challenger, and like I start feeling this anxiety because I
Yeah.
don't want
right.
to experience again watching the Challenger blow up because like in the third grade
Yeah, we watched it live.
the Challenger blew up and like they stopped school essentially and we just watched the news all day of the Challenger blowing up and it was like a traumatic experience. And so
Well, it's hard to express to people of a younger generation
How
how
traumatizing that was.
well how so things have changed. Like, we have space shuttle launches all the time now, or rocket launches all the time, and most of the time they're not really televised, they're not a big deal. This was our return to space. Like, we had been away for so long, and like the space shuttle stuff was starting to become a big deal, and all of these were televised and they were big news, and on top of that they were sending a teacher into
teacher, yeah.
space.
That's
And
right.
so the schools were like, they were on board. We talked about space every day and spaceful exploration. It was throughout schooling. We were being inundated with it. And they were so excited to show us all. And we sit down and we're little kids, sitting in front of the TV, and all of a sudden, there is dead silence in the room as this thing that we have been discussing and talking about and been so excited explodes in front of our very eyes. Like, it is hard to convey that sort of emotion that we went through as kids to a much younger generation. I'm sure, to the generation that is a little bit older than our kids, it's a similar thing to 9/11. in many ways. I mean,
Right.
not as many people died, but it had the same sort of stunning effect. But for my kids, they don't even get that. They're so far removed from either of those things.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, I don't think this is really a show that like a teenage crowd or younger is probably going to find that interesting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't do what Stranger Things does, right? Like,
it doesn't make it familiar to them.
Right.
Well, and a lot of it is pretty adult oriented or themed stuff that they're not going to
Have an emotional connection to.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the family drama, they're not going to connect to that the same way that we do, like.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing, Jay. Like, one of the plot points in the first season was pretty intense for me, right? And
Sure.
I still was like, I'm
Sure.
here for it all the way, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, that character has too much plot armor. By the end of season 3, I'm like, okay.
By the end of season 3, you're like, I hate this person so much.
Well, it's the problem. I don't hate him, but I'm just like,
Sure.
we've overplayed the
I
plot.
don't
armor
hate
at
you.
this
I'm
point.
just disappointed in you.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
No, my biggest issue with season 2 was that it was centered around 2 characters that I just don't really care about.
But you didn't feel like it was a great way to treat them in the end of that season?
I did not think that they deserved a heroic send-off. They were losers who should have just died in ignominy.
That's interesting. I guess I didn't feel like it was centered around them, but I think that's because I connected to a couple of the other plot points in the season more than to that one,
Sure.
So,
Um,
like the plot point where
I don't think this is
hate my most hated character.
I don't think that this is giving too many spoilers to give kind of this brief overview, but season 1 is kind of they beat us to the moon, how are we going to respond, and the immediate aftermath of that. Season 2 is kind of, the goal is we're going to set up like a permanent base on the moon, and who's going to do that first. And then the third season is kind of a 3-way race on who's going to get to Mars first. And so that gives you kind of a scope of the stories that the show's telling. So I guess final question, Josh, what would if you were pitching to someone, what would you say are the main reasons they should watch it, or the main, if you like this, you'll like this show, or what's your best arguments why someone should watch it?
Jeez, I'm such a terrible pitcher. Why do we do this show? I think, well, I always say, like, if you loved the movie Apollo 13, you are going to love For All Mankind. And
That's
again,
pretty good. That's probably true. Yeah.
It's fair too, don't you feel like?
Yeah, I would probably say so.
And the other one, so I actually haven't watched the show, but like, I feel like you get a little bit of a feel of like the West Wing, right? Because there's political drama and machinations and, like budget meetings. I'm kidding. There's not like budget meetings, but there are occasional congressional hearings, and clearly I love a congressional hearing. You know what I'm saying?
And West Wing's a little bit more optimistic than this show is.
Is it? That's the thing. I haven't seen West Wing. So.
Oh yeah, West Wing's very like kind of
oorah.
It's like what a liberal dreams government should be like.
Amazing. That's
like,
hilarious.
All these noble. Yeah. Anyway. Yes.
Anyway, now I know why I've never watched it.
I would say those would be two of my pitches. Like, and again, like if you have any interest or take any delight in Cold War era history, like I just think it does such a fun job of, yes, it's alternate history, but it still makes you remember some of the stuff. There's even some between seasons, like little mini vignettes that show you like, here's what we did with the history in the season of For All Mankind, and here's what the actual history was, right? Which I thought was pretty cool stuff too, like
It does have a podcast that goes along with it. I haven't listened to it, but I think that would probably be pretty interesting as well. I guess one word of caution that I will maybe throw out there as well is that there are definitely a fair number of points in the show where it feels like it's more of a slow burn, and so if that's not your jam, it might not work for you. I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
that's true because the pacing it does feel like it kind of gives you a slow burn, and then there will be episodes where you're just like, oh man, like buckle up.
All the build up is finally culminating.
Yeah, like, and I think that's what I enjoyed about season 2 so much is the culmination. I was just like, I was in a damp sweat when it was all over. I was just like exhausted in a good way.
Yeah. But I guess that's be aware of that, I guess, because that is something that I think holds true for this show.
Yeah, well said.
All right. Well, it sounds like you were already sold on watching it before we did this show, Trevor. Is that true? When you resubscribed to Ted
Did we
Lasso?
unsell you?
I would say that I was probably 50-50. I'm probably still 50-50. The problem is not the interest, it is the time.
Yeah.
Like the sheer number of shows that I have on my stack is just off the charts. You know, my list on Netflix, for example, my watch list is just, it's always like way long, and it seems like I'm always adding more shows than I'm taking off. So I think that there's a good chance I'll end up watching it by myself when Ted Lasso
which is
season
what I
3
would
comes
probably
out.
recommend.
Yeah, I don't think I have enough time to watch it with my wife, although she probably would enjoy it and probably be interested in it.
Yeah, probably.
It's just there's just too much on the stack. So,
all right. Well, let us know what you guys think of the show, and if you get a chance to watch it, let us know what you end up thinking of it.